National Latino Farmers and Ranchers Trade Association was founded in August of 2004 in Washington, D.C. by Rudy Arredondo, historically a farm worker advocate who continues to work with farm workers transitioning to farm ownership to preserve and build the family farm and ranch. The mission of the organization is to organize, engage, and provide technical assistance to Latino farm and ranch advocacy efforts across the U.S. We support new beginning, veteran, BIPOC, and ethnic farmers across the country to build farm resilience, sustainability, new markets, and economy in both rural and urban sectors. In light of COVID, we have to rebuild our local farms and ranch communities with relation to our food production systems, communication, rural broadband, water, transportation, infrastructure, now and for the future.
The second annual Congress of the National Latino Farmers and Ranchers Trade Association gathered on native lands at Isleta Pueblo in New Mexico, with national agricultural leaders in the ongoing process to understand farm and ranch issues and what they mean in the context of the pandemic and climate change. We engaged leaders to develop strategies, resolutions, and solutions guided by a broad vision and the capacity to act. Listen to the voices of those who gathered.
And very honored to come from an original land grant here in northern New Mexico, the San Miguel del Vado land grant. And I'm here in my ancestral lands. There is discussions around conservation, water and soil conservation specifically, and the opportunity to connect with other small farmers and learn from their lived experiences and their narratives coming from all over the country, from their struggles to their triumphs. So everything is interwoven, right? So if we're talking about water, water rights, water protection, because water is life, here at this conference, it's also connected to climate change, right? And what's happening in the next week or so in Glasgow with the COP26, and what kind of immediate solutions, not false solutions, but immediate solutions, real solutions from the grassroots up, coming from young people who are impacted by drought-stricken areas. All of that is integrated into young people not being future leaders, but being the current leaders of this work. I just think that we are at a critical moment right now in our planet, in our humanity. We've had a really difficult last 2 years as a planet, as a world people. Actually, New Mexico is a majority people of color state. The majority of farmers and ranchers in this state are Latinos, Chicanos. This is their ancestral land, right? So we need representation, not just when we're talking about state legislation and regulations. It means that we need to have a strong advocacy voice, talking about equity, talking about traditional farmers and how we're going to be included and prioritized in these different policies. But it also means on the federal level that we have input and we have an advocacy force to organize and mobilize nationally when it comes to the farm bills or any other kind of related federal legislation. How are we not just tokenized, but part of the inclusive process in policy making and implementation?
Well, to have a voice around economic opportunity in minority groups is an incredible resource, because that voice is predominantly taken up by corporate interest and money interest. And so you have not everybody participating at the table unless you can organize, create an association, bring together representation of a body of people and give them that voice and that seat at the table. My original involvement with National Latino Farmer and Rancher Trade Association was around the industrial hemp issue. However, it quickly ballooned out into a number of other related issues in the Latino space for representation toward economic advantage and opportunity in markets that are developing and could very well go in the direction of corporate interest. Then we want to pull that influence to impact minority and Latino groups first and foremost. We want to bring the farm worker to being able to be a farm owner, and that path requires a number of important resources like micro lending and political representation. So that's our goal within the board, and my role on the legislative end is to make sure that that voice and that presence is in these political processes, and that we're prioritizing the participation out of this community.
So I've been working on food justice initiatives over the last decade. The most important crop we grow is consciousness, and that we need to continue stewarding that and growing that crop with everyone. I think it really boils down to community, camaraderie, solidarity, sovereignty, concepts like that. But really, I guess it's our passion. It's like our fuel, our fuego, I guess we would call it, our fire that keeps us going. You know, that when we wake up every day, we're connected and inspired by the work that we do, I guess, yeah. So the National Latino Farmers and Ranchers Trade Association is an amazing connection because it is the right arm, or so to speak, of the nation, essentially. And I feel like it's authentically harnessing community voice and respecting community story, and transforming that into policy, or cultivating it, growing it, where farmers can come, ranchers can come and plant seeds like our resolutions, and then work for years to come, and then see those seeds germinate and come to life, eventually bearing fruit for our people, for the community. New Mexico has it going on. I mean, we are rooted in the land, in water, in our traditions, and I think the hard part's coming together, but I think we're gonna do it. And I just wanna honor all the young people out there, my age and younger, that are working the fields, trying to do something for their community. And I think that's what it's gonna take. It's gonna take getting everybody in the room. Everybody has a role here. You don't have to be a farmer and rancher to care about the health of our earth, and it's gonna take everybody. And I'm a teacher. It's really gonna take us transforming our education system. So, you know, crossing sectors I think is important, because the educational world very seldomly meets with the agricultural world, and vice versa. We have so many compartmentalized kind of sectors. So I truly believe that youth have a place in this, and that we're gonna help lead the way. You know, and that schools could be producing food for our families, for our communities. One of my favorite concepts is edible landscapes. We need to rethink how we create landscapes in parking lots, at libraries, at senior centers, public housing places, schools, you name it, churches, you know. The day of wasting water on unbeneficial landscapes hopefully will be coming to an end. And yeah, there's going to be these methods to save water, to conserve, and all this stuff. But how can we create edible landscapes across our cities, across our world?
I'm currently a graduate student at Colorado State University, studying rangeland ecosystem science. Specifically, my focus is on centering the lived experiences, her stories, and leadership of women of color ranchers in the Western U.S., specifically Lakota, Dene, Chicana, Hispana, and Latina women ranchers across what is now known as Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, South Dakota, and Montana. And I attended the 2019 National Latino Farmers and Ranchers Trade Association Congreso, and that was the first agricultural conference Congreso I'd ever attended, where I actually felt like so excited, so proud, so seen when it comes to what it felt like to be there. So what I wanted to get to was that I didn't have the privilege of growing up close to the land on a farm or on a ranch, even though that has been my family's background through my dad's side, as well as my mom's side. My family on my mom's side is Italian and Scottish. They grew up farming as well in West Virginia and in Italy. But, you know, through generations of colonization and removing our peoples from the land. That's how that privilege was not afforded to me. So the thing I love about the National Latino Farmers and Ranchers is it's coalitional, it's cross-cultural. So, you know, it's been exciting to see that the leadership in this organization is not just Latino leadership, it's Black leadership, it's Indigenous leadership.
How are we going to solve the climate crisis? It's small farmers and it's young people being engaged with the land, with the earth, and understanding the importance of protecting and fighting for this planet.
A better world is possible. Un otro mundo es posible.